Welcome to the presentation on Rethinking, Don't Blame the Victim. It will be a complex kind of presentation, and some of it will be politically incorrect, but with really more than important commitment to help people, victim and all. I'm Dr. Ofer Zur, a psychologist, a forensic expert, writer, author, and most importantly, I am anthropologically critical thinker and traveling the world on motorcycles and in hiking, deserts and mountains and all. So today's mountain is really to comprehend the complexity of victim. I have the idea kind of rethinking don't blame the victim may be triggering to some of you, so I want you really to take it easy, to turn it off, and to start again as necessary. What I would like to present is a typology of victimhood, and I'll describe 4 types, and some of that may be triggering to you or thinking about people that you love and care for. The first one is a true innocent victim. So this is a 1 out of 4. And this is, for example, children who are being abused, people who are being victims of crying by strangers that they don't know and don't expect. So this will be being hit by a drunk driver on the road when you are just driving legally and with aware. So this would be kind of completely innocent victim that you could not have avoided, you could not predict, and you are innocent. The second category is the most complex of the 4 ones and most politically sensitive. This is the victim with a low responsibility, with kind of less responsibility than the victimizer. I would start with a very difficult example of Jews in Second World War. Of course, they are not responsible for the atrocities that took place by the Nazis. I lost 3 out of my 4 grandparents, whom I never met, to the Holocaust in the concentration camp. So this is also very personal for me. So the issue about them kind of accepting, getting self-organized in the ghetto or get self-organized in the barracks before they are walking into the gas chamber. And even some Jews killed each other in the barracks because they didn't want to cause trouble with the Nazis. So they compliant with the Nazis in Second World War puts them in category number 2. I know stories about people who wanted to get some Jews out of Germany in time and had a whole set of boats ready to take them to Israel. And they decided to stay at home, later on to move to the ghetto, later on move to the barracks, and later on being thrown into the gas chamber or walked very obediently to the gas chamber. So this is a personal example. I grew up in Israel. We used to say the Holocaust will never happen again here. So Israel was built in some regard as a response to the Holocaust and kind of almost went too far in the right direction, as we know, militaristically occupying the West Bank, etc., etc. So another example will be the co-alcoholic, for example, who also chose the partner because, not in spite of their being alcoholic, and they are colluders because the co-alcoholic need an alcoholic unless they really heal themselves. So if they suffer by what the alcoholic does with drunk driver or with abuse, whatever it is, they are not completely innocent like children who are being molested or somebody who's being hit by a drunk driver. So when they choose a partner because they need to match their own kind of difficult pathology, whatever you want to call it, they don't get to be innocent victim of what happened in the household between alcoholic and co-alcoholic. And with the complexity of co-alcoholic, we know unless they really go to co-alcoholic anonymous or whatever they do their healing, is that if the alcoholic gets sober, sometimes the co-alcoholic will just leave them and find another alcoholic because the need is really to match well with an alcoholic. So continue along this line of example. This will be a most difficult or politically sensitive example here, but it comes from a place of compassion. It comes from a place of care. So when a woman who abused woman come with broken nose and bloody eyes to the women's shelter for the 5th time, and she comes there with 3 children, she's all bleeding, she comes to the women's shelter after being abused with her husband. And of course, they treat her medically and they treat her with compassion. But ultimately, many of these shelters will not ask the most important question when they attend to her. Would you marry? Would you date? Would you have sex with a non-sexual, with somebody who will not be a partner abuser, will not abuse you? So the woman who being abused again and again will not marry, will not have sex with a man who will not violate her. And it's a very sensitive issue, but I come from a place of deep care for the victim. So how can they create an identity where they are not victimized? It's not a blame game that I'm doing here. It's not a blame claim that I'm doing here. It's a place to really think how to help these so-called victims in category number 2 who are partly responsible to the victimhood by the choices they have made in their lives. And this is difficult 3 examples of the co-alcoholics, the Jews, and other victims that kind of choose. About 30-40% of the Jews did not go to the concentration camp, did not end up locked up nicely in the ghetto before that, and we don't end up in the gas chamber. So there was a way, there was a movement that you could have joined to fight the Nazis, the German, in Second World War. But so many millions, 6 million of them, chose not to, and did not leave Germany. And again, I'm talking about it with pain, as 3 of my 4 grandparents died in the gas chamber. And the most complex and politically sensitive issue is the issue of the abused woman that I don't want to blame, but I said there is a way to heal so she will not get connected with another abuser once the former abuser ends up in prison, as he should be in prison, no doubt. So if we are moving to the next category, will be the category of equal responsibility. Equal responsibility is the easier thing, is the chicken game, the people play, who is going to move away from the route with their cars, with the motorcycle, whatever it is. So people who tend to go into fights, looking for a fight in a bar, half drunk, they made a choice kind of to drink, and from thereafter they'll meet other people with their choice to drink and a choice to fight. So the equal responsibility is the 3rd category. And again, the chicken game is really the best example. 2 people kind of risking themselves, who is going to drive away, and both of them may be dead, and both of them are equal responsible for what happened to them. So then come the final category of victims who are 100% responsible, not perpetrators, who are in victims, to be both, who are responsible to what happened to them. So to what they did. So people who were murderers and people who are robbers and who are responsible for them being shot, being in prison, and stuff like that. What's interesting, me working in the prison for quite some time, is that people who were in category number 1 at the beginning as a true victim become a true victimizer at number 4 later in life. So there is kind of interesting dynamic between number 1, innocent victim, when you are a child, to number 4, when you're fully responsible as an adult to commit crime as an adult, whether it's a robbery or rape or child abuse. But again, the child abuser as an adult may have been abused as children when they were young. Corporate greed that put cancerous items into our food belong knowingly for years and years, belong also in category 4. So people who are drunk drivers will be in category 4 with full responsibility for them to drink and to drive. So so this is the 4 categories that I would like kind of for you to contemplate on, and for you to think, not necessarily with politically correct focus, but with care to the victim and even the victimizer, to thought with understanding of the complexity of the interaction between victim and victimizer, and to help people who see themselves as victims as what brought me here? How can I fix it? How can I not repeat? So the idea is about healing, about understanding, and about moving from the politically correct statement, don't blame the victim. Thank you.